welcome to Restoring Your Voice, where I'm here to restore, prepare, and equip you. Alrighty then, welcome to this episode of Restoring Your Voice on this Monday, the 22nd of May, 2023, it looks like. So anyways, so glad to be back with you. Hopefully this week I can get back to regularly scheduled program with you. And if that's the case, we'll try this new time or this new scheduling out and we'll see how things go. But I can't promise you anything right now. I'm still recovering from the stroke. And it ain't easy. Just lots of stuff tires me out lately. So just appreciate all your prayers in that regard. Real quickly, of course, I already put it in the comment section, but let me put it up here as a reminder on your screen. It's also linked in the description if you would like to donate, right? I have a goal. I would appreciate your help to enable more people to be reached by the kingdom. That's what I care about. I don't care about making money. It's not going to go in my pocket. All of it's going to go towards reaching people. And that's what I care about. And I would love your help. So if you're able to do it, God bless you. Of course, if you're unable to do it, God bless you just as well. Thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you to all the people who have been subscribed to my channel. And if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, why not? Go ahead and click that subscribe button. You say, well, what? I watch you on YouTube or somewhere else. Well, or not YouTube, somewhere else. Facebook, sorry. I watch you on Facebook. You may say, well, why would I need to go there? Because all my content is organized for you to find right there. Okay. Of course, that's not the only place, but also on the website is where you can find other great content than just videos, but also the audio podcast, also blogs, also devotionals, things like that. So check it out. DavidCMcGuire.org. Of course, everything for you is in the description. So let's get into the topic at hand today, and that's protecting our children in a digital age. Now, before you stop watching, you say, well, I'm not a parent. I guarantee you know children. I guarantee you have nieces and nephews and such. You might even have younger cousins. Who knows? So don't stop watching. This is for you. Okay? This is for you. Every one of us should be taking an active role in some way, shape, or form in the shaping of our next generation. We really absolutely should. As Christians, I'm talking about. So, yeah, you may not be a Christian, but I'm talking to a Christian audience in this regard. All right, because I'm sure as a non-Christian, you like I don't, you may or may not care what your children want. You may care in regards to quote unquote gender stereotypes and that, but well, then this isn't for you. Okay, we need to take an active role. Right, that may mean voting. Right, not just voting, like say presidential elections, but your local school board meetings or local town elections, things like that. Maybe you may be called to advocate for children and what they shouldn't be exposed to. But this is an important topic because this is the age we live in. This is the digital age that we live in. The dangers of the digital age. I mean, I'm on YouTube right now, and I don't allow my kids on YouTube, even though I'm on YouTube, because YouTube can be a cesspool, right? Even YouTube Kids can be a cesspool. You say, well, what do you mean it's for kids? Well, just because somebody marks their content for kids doesn't mean it's actually for children. Okay. And so I have to bring you up to speed on a lot of these things. I've done some research today on this topic, just looking things up, and maybe you don't think it's important. Maybe you think you could just, there's certain things your children can watch and you don't need to monitor it. Well, I'm going to highlight to you today that in fact, there are things that, you need to be the gatekeeper. We parents, we guardians are the gatekeepers of our children. Believe me, our children are going to be influenced one way or the other. They can be influenced or discipled by their parents or guardians, right? Or they can be influenced by Satan, by the world, right? We have a choice in that matter how that all plays out together. So either we're going to influence them or Satan is going to influence them. Believe me. And all we have to do to let Satan influence them is take our hands off things, right? Hand them that smartphone to babysit them, right? Not worry about, not monitor what they watch. You say, well, that's just overbearing. You don't understand. We shouldn't be such that overbearing on our children. Well, if you're not doing that, somebody else will. Either social media will, or Disney will, or Hulu will, but somebody will. Pornography sites will. Yeah, it's that serious. Somebody's going to, and all we have to do is sit back and just stay out of the fight, quote unquote. But if we choose to stay out of the fight, then we've made a decision for the side of darkness. And then when our children turn out in all sorts of ways, like gender confusion or some weird form of sexuality, outside of the boundaries of God, which is heterosexuality, then should come as no surprise because we let it happen. We let them be influenced by these things, and believe me, this stuff is out there in abundance, right? Even I'm on TikTok, but I wouldn't allow my kids on TikTok. I wouldn't allow my kids right now on any social media. Right? I wouldn't allow my kids unsupervised access to media devices, period. And you say, well, that's overbearing. And I say, well, I'm the parent. And I want to make sure what comes into my kids. Because children cannot process things like an adult can. Heck, most adults out there can't properly decide what is right and what is wrong anyways by themselves. So what makes you think children is any better to decide and know what is good for them to watch and what isn't good for them to watch, right? So remember that, because the Bible does say, Proverbs 22:6, to train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not turn from it. I don't know if any other scripture better encapsulates what we as a parent, how we as parents need to be towards our children. We need to show them right from wrong. Believe me, of course, as their children, there are so many things that they don't know whether it's wrong or not. They just take in information. They just take stuff in without any knowledge. Well, is it evil or is it good? Obviously, perhaps there's like somebody being murdered, they know that's evil. But I'm talking about they know nothing about, for instance, sexuality, right? So maybe they're searching something up, their finger slips, or something comes up, or they see an ad on YouTube, right? Believe me, there's plenty of filthy ads out there on YouTube, okay? And they click on it, not knowing any better. All of a sudden, what they see is what nobody has a right to look at, right? God's design is not for us to look at that filthy pornography stuff, pornographic images and such. But that's what they're going to see. And boom, now, what are we going to do? It's too late. It's already been done. Right? We need to do our best. And I understand some things sometimes happen, like if your child goes to a public school, for instance, right? You can't fully control what they're exposed to. But at least in the home, you can control that and disciple them and teach them what is right or right from wrong, right? I wouldn't go so far as to say, well, don't do it because I said so. Right? We do our best here in my house to tell our children the whys. Like, why don't we allow you on YouTube, for instance, or why don't we want you watching Disney, or why don't we want you watching something we don't want them watching or looking at, right? We tell them exactly why, so they know, and we tell them what we try to do our best to get across to them what is right and what is wrong. It's not about domineering; it's about raising and discipling our children as commanded in the Bible. Because I'm telling you, I think I've already said enough that the dangers cannot be overstated in this day and age. With these handheld computers in our hands, right? Access across a plethora of digital information, right? We have everything from your numerous social medias to streaming services, to pornography and everything else. So this digital age is a dangerous age for children to be in. And it's our duty and it's our job as parents to protect them and equip them to navigate, right? Because one day they're going to leave the nest, right? Right? That's why it says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not turn from it. Because one day our children are going to go out there into the world, right? One day they may go to, God forbid, a secular university. May happen, right? And if they're not equipped, if we, the parents or guardians, did not do our jobs to equip them properly, then you better bet that Satan is out there ready to take them out. The Bible says so, right? He goes out there, right, like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. Yes, that includes your children. That includes, this is May now, so I don't know, some may have already graduated by now, or some may be about to have the graduation ceremony, depending on where you're at in the U.S. So that means, hey, your 18-year-old is no longer in high school. Many of them are probably going to go out to different areas. They may be joining the military. They may be going, like I said, to university. They may be going straight to a job. They may be taking a gap year to travel. I don't know what they may be doing, but I can tell you that that if you didn't train them up, man, pray for them. Pray for them. But for those of you and those of us who have children who have yet to get to high school and yet to graduate high school, train them up now. When they're out there on the battlefield, it's already too late. That's as serious as I can get. Um, I looked things up right now. The average age for exposure to pornography in the United States is 12. Right now, that's the most average age I saw out there doing my research, but that's not the youngest age, believe it or not. The actual youngest age as of right now, and I'm thinking it's probably younger by now. But by the way, the research and everything I looked up, I tried to keep it within the last 3 years. I don't want to go too far back because then data starts to become outdated by then. But 8 years old, 8 years old, children are now being exposed to pornography. And is it really any surprise? I mean, it shouldn't be that way, but is it a surprise when we just hand our phones to our young ones as a form of uh, babysitting? And I get it. It's not easy, and we fell into that trap a little bit here, and we learned our lesson. Hey, this is what happens when we don't watch things, right? But how? So I'm not trying to, bash anybody over the head. I'm not trying to condemn anybody or make anybody feel guilty. I'm just trying to equip you, trying to open your eyes, right? Like I said, if you don't influence your children, Satan will influence your children, right? And pornography is definitely one of the major ways that he will try to influence our children. Believe me, because once pornography gets its hooks in somebody, especially a boy, especially a male, it is very difficult to break that. It's very difficult to get those hooks out. Believe me, I speak even as somebody who that happened to, by the way, that because I was exposed to pornography as a child, and then later on in life it developed into a porn addiction. Believe me, you don't want that to happen. Believe me, prevention is better than the cure, right? Old saying. I'll say it one more time for you. Prevention is better than the cure. Probably the one phrase I could use to wrap up this entire show today, right now, even before it's over: prevention better than the cure. I want you to think on that. I want you to think about that as you're listening to these things. What can you do in your own household? What can you do with your own children? What can you do with the children you have influence over if you're not a parent? Right? Like I said, guarantee you have a niece, you have nephews, maybe younger cousins. Who knows? Right? How can you have that positive, godly influence on them right now? We should think about that, okay? Because, like I said, because everything's out there, okay? And I said, there's like this social media. I already talked about how social media influences our children a little bit. I want to talk to you about that there's no guarantee for something that's going to be age appropriate. Give them YouTube Kids. Who knows what they're going to find on there? Because look, I'm on YouTube, right? In fact, most of my audience watches me on YouTube. It's just the way things are, okay? And I can make up any content I wish right? And mark it as appropriate for children under age 18, right? I can do that. Just click of a button, a little check mark box. If you go into YouTube Studios there, and so you do the behind the scenes stuff on your video on YouTube, just check it. That's all it takes, right? It could be, but the thing is, anybody can make anything, any type of video with any content in it, and mark it as appropriate for children. It's that easy. It's that easy to try and satanically influence children. But I'm going to bring up an article, so I'm not trying to take credit. See if this opens up okay for me. I'm not trying to take credit here for anything that I didn't come up with. So I did some research, and I'm reading on the let's see, American Psychological Association. In case you're wondering where I'm reading from, and it says why young brains are especially vulnerable to social media. Okay, so let me see if I can bring this up on your screens right now. See if it'll work. And is it there? Yep. And there we go. So this right here, let me bring it out here. That way I can blow it up for you. There we go. Make it bigger for you, and click that X button. So here we go. So this is from the American Psychological Association website. I want you to pay attention to this. Starting around age 10, children's brains undergo a fundamental shift that spurs them to seek social rewards, including attention and approval from their peers, right? And how does that play out in the digital age, right? It's not just, you're in front of people, you tell a funny joke, they laugh at them, your joke, and so you know that they like you or whatever. Well, how does this play out in the social media age where it's not peer-to-peer contact and it's not face-to-face, right? People do it by clicks, right? By likes and by comments and shares. That's how it comes across to somebody if their peers are approving of them. That's how it comes across in this digital age. But let's see what else they got to say here. Let's bring it up again. Right, with social rewards. So between the ages of 10 and 12, changes in the brain make social rewards, compliments on new hairstyle, laughter from a classmate start to feel a lot more satisfying. Okay, specifically receptors for the happy hormones, oxytocin and dopamine, multiply in a part of the brain called the ventral striatum, making preteens extra sensitive to attention and admiration from others. So how would this play out? Is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? So it says right next to, and this is important, that's why I'm reading it to you, by the way, right next door to the ventral striatum lies the ventral pallidum, a region of the brain for motivating actions. So these structures, which lie beneath the more recently evolved cortex, don't worry about that, I don't believe in evolution, are older parts of the brain. Anyway, so here's how it works out in adulthood on social media. Social media use is also linked to activation in the brain's reward centers. I talked about likes, shares, and comments, right? So first, this is adults, by the way, tend to have a fixed sense of self that relies less on feedback from peers. Okay, so we see this kind of stuff play out, this kind of motivation play out on things like, say, TikTok challenges, right? Why do you think there were people say do so many dumb things, right? Like Tide Pods. Why swallow Tide Pods? Why do that? It's put out because it was put out there on social media in the first place, and there are kids with access to social media without parental oversight, right? I mean, I remember right before we moved from Colorado Springs, there was a TikTok challenge where children were ripping out parts of their bathrooms in the schools. So they would, ruining their own bathrooms. The place they go to the bathroom, they're going to rip out like, handheld paper towel dispensers, other things, whatever they have in their soap dispensers. Yeah, they're going to ruin it. Why? It's on social media. Right? These TikTok challenges, these things that happen. What I think the latest one I know about, there's probably more out there by now, is drinking cough syrup. How much cough syrup, Robitussin stuff can you drink before you put yourself into a coma? Yeah, stuff like that is out there. Do you want your kids being to do that? Why do you think they're going to take the challenge? Why? Because out there it's quote unquote famous thing to do, and they're children and they want that dopamine rush, right? Whether they know it or not, consciously, but that's what they're seeking, that dopamine rush, and this is what's going to happen, and to the detriment of them. God forbid, but it may lead up to their death. I don't want that. Do you want that to happen to your children? Do you want that to happen to your child, any child you know? I don't want it to happen. That's why I'm here today talking to you. You say, well, this is a little bit of a different show. Um, Normally a very scripture centric and all that. Yeah, but I just really felt this is what the Lord wanted me to talk about today. I had it written down in of a show to do last week, and this is what I've done. And I mean, think about it though, children. I mean, even Jesus talked about the importance of children, right? About not like preventing them from going to heaven. Don't do that. Like it comes with a serious warning. Jesus is very serious about that. So he's very serious as our role as parents or guardians on how we raise our children. Like very serious subject to Jesus, God Himself. Okay. See, continuing on. Yeah. So we have let's see, movies and TV. So I talked about social media. I'm sure there's a lot more to unpack there, but moving on. By the way, if you have any comments or questions, you can put them in the comment section. I would love to take them. If you have any questions, maybe specific to your family, or if you have any questions to maybe shows or movies that may or may not be appropriate content or whatever else, then by all means, please ask them, or just ask in the questions, or please add in what you think about the subject. Maybe if you disagree with me, let me know. I'm okay with that. By the way, I'm okay. I'm not going to get offended when people disagree with me. All right. So movies and TV can, by the way, negatively affect our children. Say, well, it's just movies. What are you talking about? Are you talking about the horror things? What are you talking about? No, I'm talking about these modern television shows, especially portraying the family in America, right? I mean, of course, it's like good luck almost nowadays trying to find one that has a nuclear family only without a gay couple. And even if you do find a show like that, and by the way, before having gay characters on a television show was prevalent, when it was even frowned upon, the dad was portrayed as the dunce, right? And I don't know how many of you people out there remember Married with Children, or if you even watched that show. Al Bundy, he was the dunce. He was lazy. He was a slob. Homer Simpson, the Simpsons came out, I believe, in the late '80s. So we're talking over 30 years ago now. Late '80s, over 30 years ago now, right? Homer Simpson, the dunce, the dummy, the one the kids talk back to, things like that. So it's been going on probably. Some of you may not realize that for a lot longer than you may have thought, or maybe have realized. So these families on television, especially, are portrayed as the mom. She's the smart one. She's the provider. She's the one that's capable. It's the dad. He's the dummy. He's the dunce. He's the one that doesn't discipline the kids, that lets them run rampant, and on it goes. And we see in these also television shows where the children can talk back to their parents, give them attitude, and it's okay. It's these are all acceptable things now that are being portrayed, and our children, the little sponges that they are taking this in. They're taking this in. I think I saw on one website I was researching today comparing children's brains to cucumbers soaking up water, right? And except they're soaking in the information that's pouring out to them. And so we have this, and of course, one of the worst, but not the only, but one of the worst, I would probably say the worst perpetrators of portraying families as such is Disney. And you've heard me talk about Disney before, and you think, well, you're a legalist. Oh, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing. Well, just bear with me here. I've got a lot of information, facts to put out there. We have different families always portrayed throughout. Well, before they had Disney Plus, I don't know if they still have the Disney XD channel or not. I don't know, but I know prior to Disney Plus, prior when they were just had their own television channel, they all of these things that I talked about and mentioned. Right, I said the fathers being the dunces, being the dummies, being the soft on the kids, and the kids talking back and such like that was portrayed major by the majority on Disney. So right there, all right, automatically, not the only ones, but the greatest perpetrators because of the greatest influence in television programming with families. But of course, there's other shows out there that I'm unaware of because I don't watch TV as it is, because I don't. So they're going to affect. Okay, in other words, the daddy is the dummy, and we can talk back to our parents, right? Which is runs rampant to the Bible, right? It says to children to do what? To honor your father and your mother, right? Children, honor your father and mother. That's what the Bible commands. It's not an option. Okay, it's not when it's good. It's not when it's great. It's all the time. What about this? What about Disney and its put I put the wrong thing in my notes here. Well, I'm glad I caught that. How about Disney and its covert use of magic is good? I'm using the word covert, right? Because a lot of people will say, remember the heyday of Disney and Snow White. I think that was its very first cartoon, um, feature length, whatever you want to call it. And then, but you know, say Cinderella, right? We have a fairy godmother. Wow, look, a magic being used as a force for good. And Cinderella, I didn't actually look up how far back that one goes. Let me see when Cinderella first came out. I'm just gonna search this up here. No, not that one. Cinderella. When did the original Cinderella come out? If anybody knows, I'm looking it up. You can put it in the comment section. Let's see. Let's see here. Original Cinderella movie. 1965 is what I see here. So 1965, which is quite a while ago. I'm bad at math, so I'll let you figure out how long ago it was. But 1965, right? I'm saying covert because a lot of people look at these movies, think they're wonderful, yet you say, well, what does this have to do? What does this have to do with my children, right? Because these are things are being portrayed to your children as good. Magic is good according to Disney. Right? This is the more covert ones. This is before the whole, like I previously talked about, disparaging the nuclear family, disparaging fathers, things like that. And of course, the future or the now, I should say, LGBTQ overt going on. This was Disney in its covert form. Right? We have Cinderella, we have Peter Pan. I'm trying to think of different movies to mention. Um, Aladdin, The Little Mermaid, and whatever others are out there that I no way I can remember them all. These things as good, right? These things God calls evil, Disney calls it good, and when the children are watching these things, they're taking it in. Good, good. Even Frozen. There was a very popular one, right? There's nothing um, overtly evil there. I mean, I saw something where they said maybe uh, Elsa, I think is a princess's name. Um, maybe it was her coming out of the closet song. I don't know that for sure. I just know that what our children see, they think, oh, look, it's good. Look, there's princesses. Look at the heroes. Look at good overcoming evil. And then they take that in, and that's what gets into them. Right? But that's the more covert one. It's still evil, by the way, because God calls it evil. Therefore, it's evil. Okay. But that's the more covert. But nowadays, of course, we have the more overt which is the LGBTQ agenda. But by the way, in case you don't know, this goes back to President Bill Clinton's presidency. Yeah, that they had gay parades and gay celebrations already as far back as 1995. In case you don't know that. So in case you think this is a new thing, this is not a new thing. It's just much more overt now, much more out there, right? We have I think the last Cinderella movie to portray some man as the fairy godmother, right? Already man as a fairy godmother, right? Dressed up in women's clothing. So there you go, right there. But if you don't believe me, I'm gonna read this for you. Um, I should have put the website on here, but I can't remember the website now. I was doing my notes, I forgot to put it, but it's by Mary Cuff, so it's not my quote. It's not me saying this. It's just Mary Cuff wrote this. It talks about Aladdin. So Aladdin, the last film for which Howard Ashman, by the way, Howard Ashman was a gay man who had a gay partner, and he died. Howard Ashman died from AIDS, by the way. So just FYI. So he wrote a lot of the stuff, wrote musical lyrics for other Disney movies, by the way. Some of them I already mentioned. But this man, Howard Ashman, wrote lyrics before his untimely death. Fantasizes about a whole new world, okay, where no one will tell us no. The movie also involves a rather stupid plot device where the poor sultan feels like a jerk, that there are laws that dictate, catch this, whom his daughter can or cannot marry, until he suddenly and conveniently realizes that he can just change them at will, with no thought as to why those laws might have been there to begin with. Hint, hint, right? Obama era, changing the law to legalize homosexual marriage in the United States of America, right? Hint, hint, change the laws, right? Even though what happened should have never happened because the Supreme Court is not supposed to make laws, by the way. Anyway, so Ashman himself faced a law that told him he could not marry his choice of partner, right? This was back before that type of stuff. A law that was also abruptly dismissed in a similar manner, using the shakiest of logic and with no authentic consideration as to why it was a law at all, right? Once again, talking about the Supreme Court changing, but that's not the subject of, the show today. But yeah, talk about shaky. But yeah, he wrote about this where the Sultan, right? There's a whole new world. Remember the song? I'm not going to sing it for you. I'll spare you that. But if you don't believe me, I also looked up, just some research today. I'm going to bring it up for you to see on your screen. Got Questions. This is from Got Questions, a website I like to use at times if I have certain questions, right? Got Questions. I don't use them for everything, but not bad overall. So let's see here. Remove source. Let's see here. Bring this up on your screen. Give me 1 second here. Got Questions. So how should we view these things? Now, there's some stuff in the article I don't agree 100% with, but don't worry about it. They still have some worthwhile content in it. So let me bring it up on the screen here. So, yep, as you can see here, it says, how should Christians view Disney, right? Talks about when Walt Disney started the company in 1923. Let's see if I can make that bigger for you. No one foresaw the phenomenon, okay? Talks about here, producing its first full-length animated movie, 1937, Snow White. Disney has been trusted source for high-quality products combined with family values, right? Which I brought up to. They should have never been known for that, ever, because it was never their thing. It was just covert versus what's overt nowadays. Let's see. However, right, loyalty to product. Yeah, I love this part right here. So maybe you're here and you're like, well, I remember growing up. I remember the magic. Well, here it is. However, loyalty to a product tends to render us blind to subtle changes, and like most 21st century enterprises, Disney has begun following the downward moral spiral that reflects our increasingly more immoral culture. Like I said, they've always been that way. It just was covert. Now it's overt. That's the only difference. Okay. Um. So they never. So we have. Let's see. Seemingly lesser issues, such as a recurring theme that beautiful girls need Prince Charming to make her problems go away, to more overt inclusions of openly gay characters, to Disney Channel's Andy Mack. There you go. Like I said, Disney XD. Now this stuff is on Disney Plus for your children to take in. And I did uh, read about that episode they're talking about. So in case you don't know, here's the background to Andy Mack. Um, Actually, no, I'm thinking of something else. Never mind. Forgive me there. I was thinking of something else here. Anyway, yeah, Andy Mack. So he's a gay character now. So we have a princess culture. So here's some concerns here. Disney introduced a princess brand of dolls and toys, accessories representing the fictional heroines of Disney films. Um, so they dubbed this a princess culture. Several studies have been um, conducted to determine the effectiveness of this princess culture on children. Surprisingly, most studies indicated that young boys were positively affected by this theme and tended to view their masculinity as a means to protect and rescue damsels in distress. I don't see anything wrong with that. Not so positive were the results of a princess culture on little girls. Now, I don't know about you, but me as a dad, my little girl is my princess, and I'm going to do everything I can to protect her. It says, as could be assumed by the idea of every little girl being a princess, reinforced negative female stereotypes. Disney princesses are always beautiful and unusual. It's okay right there. Um, but we get down to the open support for the LGBTQ agenda since the 90s. I told you that. Disney has openly supported homosexual issues. In 1991, so, okay, my dating was off, but that's why I bring up sources. Disney World hosted its ever first gay parade, and in 95 offered gay executives health benefits for their partners, an offer that did not extend to heterosexual couples living together. So while there is a debate on whether, so anyway, there you go. They talk about again Andy Mack, favorable portrayals of non-Christian religious practices. Right? They name the movie Lion King, Pocahontas, whatever. So you say, well, why did I need to know their stance on homosexuality? Why do I need to know about their gay parades? Why do I need to know about them offering special benefits to gay people and their partners? Why do I need to know that? What does that have to do with the movies and television and media? Because these are the very same people who hold to this ideology who influence your children. Yeah. These people who hold to an LGBTQ agenda are the very same ones making the content that influences your children. I already mentioned one of the newer things, and by the way, I don't know every new thing that's out there. I know something about Jumanji went woke, and they had a gay character in that one. I think in the last Jumanji movie, and I can't think. I'm trying to think of anything else off the top of my head. But bottom line is, this is what they want your children. They want, not only do they want your children to be accepting and inclusive, right? This is the woke buzzword of um of the LGBTQ plus stuff. No, they only want your they also want your children to be that way. They want your children's sexuality to be changed. They want their gender identity to be changed. This is what they want to happen. And your children, right, are fresh sponges, soaking up and soaking up and soaking up. And if you're not aware of what they're soaking up, guess what's going to happen? One day your child's going to come out. Hey, mom. Hey, dad. Hey, I like whatever. If they're a girl, then they're going to say they like girls. If they're a boy, they're going to say I like boys too. Or they're going to say, hey, I don't longer identify as a boy. I identify as a girl. Or I identify as all these other crazy things. Non-binary, I think, is one of them out there. That's what's going to happen when we don't become the gatekeepers. When we don't take our charge seriously. So Let me see if I can bring my notes up on the screen now. I want to read this to you. I want it up on your screen. I want you to see this for yourself. This is from Barna, one of the many places I looked at. Where is it? Oh, there we go. Is it the right one? That I looked up many sources, many sources I looked up. Obviously, I could only take a snippet from here and a snippet from there for the sake of time. I'm not going to do a 2-hour video on this kind of thing. But Barna offers some great advice. I'm going to bring this up onto your screen here. All right, let me get it where you can see it. So here we go. So this is so thank you, Barna, for this. Thank you, George Barna, for this. I'm going to give credit where credit is due. So this is not me, and this is from I can't remember, some interview or something George Barna was on. But anyway, I want to read this for you. I want you to take it in. Barna says then listed 4 M's that parents should employ to combat the harmful influence of the media on their children. Notice how it says the media, not just social media. So it says, first, he advised parents to monitor what these kids are being exposed to, because our research shows that most parents are happy to buy their children every device the kid wants, to include video games, by the way. And I didn't mention that in this so far, but we'll see how much time we have left. Anyway, and then they leave the kids up to determine what they're going to take in through all those devices. They don't even know what their kids are being exposed to. So the first M he mentions is to monitor. Well, that means you must know what your child is watching and being exposed to at all times, which means they should not have devices in their rooms. They shouldn't have televisions in their rooms. They shouldn't have gaming systems in the rooms. They shouldn't have gaming systems, period, either. They shouldn't be left alone with a phone or a tablet. None of that. Okay? That's what monitor means. Okay, now scrolling down, it says Barn also suggested that parents minimize. So the second M, minimize it, because our research also shows that in America, the biggest addiction in our country is media. We spend more time literally absorbing media or messages from media than anything else we do except for sleep, right? So media, movies, social media, the news, right? Whether it's Fox News, whether it's CNN, whether it's whatever talking head you're exposed to. So minimize it, right? As little as possible, right? Nothing wrong with watching television, nothing wrong with watching the news, nothing wrong with watching a movie, but not to the point where our lives revolve upon this stuff. Okay. So, so we have 2 M's so far. We have monitor and minimize. Then we have illustrating the need to limit the enormous exposure that we have to that kind of information. Barna maintained that parents do not tell their children to eat everything in the house, right? Anyway, a good parent wouldn't do that. I don't allow my kids to do that, because my kids literally would eat every sweet thing in the house, every salty snack in the house, but rather eat a certain amount of things 3 times a day, right? He told parents that we need to do the same kind of indigestion methods with media. And then introducing mediate as the third M, Barnett called on parents to serve as the mediator between what the media is trying to get you to believe and what we as followers of Jesus believe based on what the scriptures teach, right? I've talked to you a lot, especially with the huge LGBTQ plus agenda, right? This is what they want to get you to believe. They want your children to accept this. They want your children to become a part of this, or whether it's magic, whether it's doubting any other group of people that doesn't agree and come alongside with what they believe. Okay, we have to tell children, what do the scriptures say about this, right? That's what most important thing to do. He remarked that if parents are watching a show with their children that exposes them to an idea that runs contrary to the biblical worldview, they should tell them, we know that's a lie, because the scriptures teach us whatever the scriptures teach us about this. And I think that's great, because we don't know every program that's out there, what the content has. I know I don't. I know I've been watching a program I thought was going to be okay. Next thing you know, drop an F-bomb or scene of something that shouldn't be watched comes up. And what are we going to do then, right? So you don't know. So be right there watching and being aware of what your children are watching. Okay, it says, and the final M, uh, Barna Barna urges parents to rely on was moralize. In other words, helping them to understand the differences between right and wrong. He predicted that if parents simply did that in the lives of the kids, it would revolutionize America today. So he also talked about, or maybe it was him, maybe it was somebody else, but it wasn't me. I want to take credit for it. Talked about how, hey, talking about eating, things like that, and taking things in, right? Well, if we just allow our kids to take in media, what are we allowing them to take in? We're allowing them to take in a whole bunch of junk food. So there you go. And I'll end with, since I said I forgot, I didn't put it in my notes, but let me talk about video games. Listen, listen, parents, stop buying your children gaming systems. Right? We're talking things like Xbox, whatever the latest Xbox is, whatever the latest PlayStation is, all of these things that have access to the internet, right? No, 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 no. Just plain no. Not only because it has access to the internet, which means it has access to everything out there on the internet, to include pornography, all right? But also the content that is produced for video games these days, right? It's either beyond bloody, beyond gory, or it's this hypersexualization of women, right? In other words, these women, they're well endowed, if you know what I mean, um, scantily clad at that, and at the very least, right? We're objectifying a woman, treating her as a sexual object is what's going on there. At the very least, at the very least, if not, the mature content that's probably in video games these days, I would probably think portrays women as wanting to have sex, right? Or in other words, so allowing your children these video games is distorting their worldview. No, you're taking away their biblical worldview and you're putting on them a worldly view of things, right? And so when that little boy of yours grows up into be a man, he's going to have these expectations of women, which obviously are completely unrealistic in the extreme. And when it doesn't come to pass, well, he's going to turn to something, right, to fulfill his unrealistic sexual appetite, which would be pornography. Believe me, there's already epidemics abound, especially in places like Australia right now. I've seen the research on this. It's no good. So if you think, hey, if at the end of the day you came away with the thought that I'm still legalistic, well, fine, that's up to you. But at least I did my job as a Christian, at the very least as a Christian, but also as a Christian leader to present the evidence as to the need, the absolute essential need for us to monitor the media that our children take in. Thank you so much for staying as I finish up. But real quick, see somebody in here said, hope you got my email. Let me tell you what out there real quick. If you're going to send me an email to try to tell me how right you are and how wrong I am, and it's, I'm not going to read it. Okay. I'm just going to put it out there. I'm going to delete it. The first thing I'm going to do is delete it. Okay. I'm not going to respond to it. You're not going to know whether I read it or not because I'm not going to dignify those type of emails with a response. So like I said, if you just want to email me or contact me through my website to prove how right you are and prove how wrong I am, it's not going to get read. It's going to get deleted. As soon as I skim over it and I see that's the content, I delete it automatically. Okay. I don't have time for that. And I don't know anybody, any pastor who has time for that kind of thing, by the way. So I'm just putting it out there. That way you don't waste your time and you don't waste my time. Just putting it out there as I end real quickly. So thanks for watching, everybody. If you didn't watch the full content, then go back and watch it. I laid out some great content, and God willing, I'll see you again tomorrow. And if I'm able to see you tomorrow, then we'll do the live Q&A at 4 p.m. Central. Okay, so 4 p.m. Central is when we're going to do the Q&A if we do it tomorrow. So hope to see you guys there. Remember, the Bible-based Q&A though is on YouTube only, so you may be watching this on Facebook right now or via my website. You may watch this. Just know it's not going to be there. Okay, I only do the Bible-based Q&A on YouTube only. So head on over to the YouTube channel, David C. McGuire, and hit that subscribe button. So with that, I'm gonna stop talking your ear off today and say, be blessed, everybody. See you again soon.